In this video, we will revise three important concepts related to cell. We will talk about unicellular organisms, then cellular organization, and then prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Well, unlike the plants and animals that we see around, which are basically multicellular organisms, there also exists unicellular organisms. That means living beings which are made up of only one cell. And you see, these unicellular organisms have adaptations to help them survive in the environment they live in. Say for example, here you can see a Euglena, where this is the entire structure. You see the nucleus, chloroplast is present, and here the tail-like structure, which is the flagellum. Now you see this Euglena live in water, and they have a tail-like structure called the flagellum to help them swim. Yet another unicellular organism is amoeba, as you can see in the picture. This is the entire structure of an amoeba. Now you see, this organism lives in water and damp places, and it moves by making its cell cytoplasm flow into extensions. These extensions called pseudopods, causing the cell to shape change. So previously the amoeba could have been this. Next, slowly extensions started from here, and all that, and so the shape of the amoeba changes. Let us look into this into little bit more details. You see, the first you see over here, this is the nucleus. This stores genes encoded in the molecules of DNA, and as you know, the genes control how the entire cell behaves. Now here is another part, which is basically the excess water which is stored over here, and it is stored in bubbles known as contractile vacuoles. Also you see these small portions, basically the algae can swallow the prey, and you see the swallowed prey is digested inside these small bubbles of fluid called food vacuoles. So one is contractile vacuole, next is food vacuole. Also you see here we have the cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance that fills the entire cells. Okay, and also these extensions all over here of the cells known as pseudopods. Now you see there are many different types of unicellular or single cell organisms. The important thing to note is each of the organism has adaptation, a different type of adaptation to suit its particular way of life, and so they are very different if you look at them. Say for example, here you have got three examples. One is algae, next is Protoctists, and then fungi. Well, the first you see algae. Here they are basically plant-like organisms that can be single-celled or even multicellular. Here you can see a single-celled algae, Chlamydomonas. It contains chloroplasts, which are small green organelles that capture energy from sunlight to make food. Next, we have the Protoctists, which are diverse group of organisms that mostly feed by hunting other single-celled organisms. As an example, we have Paramecium, which is a Protoctist that lives in water and swims by beating hundreds of tiny hairs on its surface. You see, these small hairs, they help it to swim, and these tiny beating hairs, they are used to help it swim. Next we have fungi, which are basically single cell. Well, another example is yeast, which are single celled fungi. Here you have to note that they have a cell wall like plant cell but no chloroplast. Okay, see, they have a cell wall like plant cell but no chloroplast. Now yeast makes bread rise by making bubbles of carbon dioxide during respiration as it feeds on sugar. Now let us talk about how the cells are organized. Well, you see, the cells are basically organized into groups. Let us see how. Well, first a group of similar cells come together to make a tissue. Next, a group of different tissues, they work together to make an organ. And then a group of organs, they work together to make an organ system. And then a multicellular organism like us, human being, is usually made up of several organ systems. Okay. Now let's see an example over here. Say the plant cell, Palisade cell over here. This is a simple cell, single cell, as you can see. Next, several cells together. This is the tissue. Next, we have the tissue, you see, make up a leaf. All these tissues make up the leaf, which is basically an organ. And then after this, what do you see? A shoot system, which is basically an organ system. Now different organ systems basically make up a full plant or an organism. Now you see examples of cell and different organ systems, corresponding cell and corresponding organ system I have given over here. Say for example bone cells in the skeletal system. Next, blood cells in the transport system. These all correspond to human beings. Okay. Next we have the nerve cells in the nervous system. Then sperm cells in the reproductive system. Now similar to plants, here you can see the single cell. Next, this from cell we have got a tissue, see over here. So this is the tissue. Next, from tissue we have the organ system. See, you see a stomach, right? Our stomach, human stomach. Now you see the stomach has different parts, the surface, inner layer, and all of them are made up of different types of tissues. See over here, different types of tissues. And all these different types of tissues, they make the organ. And different organ systems, you see over here, they make us an organism. Now let us see some more examples of multicellular organisms. See, a lion over here, and above it we have got a small monkey over here. Both of them are multicellular organisms. See, a small insect, again multicellular organism. What about them? They are tomatoes. Well, you see, tomatoes are also composed of cells. Why? Because they come from trees, and the cells that make up the edible tissue of the tomato share features with other types of plant cells. Now we will consider the important concept of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. You see, all our organisms are either prokaryotes or eukaryotes, one of them. What are eukaryotes? First, let us talk about them. Well, eukaryotes include organisms such as animals, plants, fungi, and many single-celled organisms, whereas prokaryotes are tiny single-celled organisms such as bacteria. Now, while eukaryote cells have nuclei and membrane bound organelles, prokaryote cells have smaller. They are much smaller than the eukaryote cells and have no nuclei. See, there is no nuclei. Okay, or membrane bound organelles. Instead of a nucleus, a prokaryote cell has a closed loop of DNA that floats. You see the strand of DNA that floats in the cytoplasm, though the structure is very different from that of eukaryote cell. Now, in all our discussion, where is the concept of atom and molecule? Well, you see, the entire structure that we have talked about, cell, tissue, organ system, the cell, the various parts of the cell, they are made up of, you see, the cell has basically cell organelles. We have talked about them in previous video. Okay, nucleus, cytoplasm, mitochondria and all that. Now each of them is made up of a different type of molecule, and each of the molecule is made up of different type of atoms. So it's not that atoms and molecules are different things and cell is a different thing. So cell organelle, molecule, atom. So this is the entire structure. See, atoms, various types of atoms, they make your molecule, then various types of molecules, they create cell organelles, then they create cell, tissue, then organ system, then organ, and then organ system, then we have an organism, right? And then we have a population of organisms.